So if you've watched any news, read the internet, or looked at any type of financial information in the last 6 months, you've probably seen all of these warning signs: recession. So at the end of the video, I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts as to whether you should or should not start an e-commerce business. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video to get my bonus tips. So let's go ahead and jump right into the first question. So the first question that you should ask yourself before you even think about starting an e-commerce business is, what are you going to sell? Because honestly, the product that you're going to sell is going to depend on if you're successful or not. But before you even begin deciding if you're going to start a business or not, you need to decide what product you're going to sell, because the product that you're going to sell is going to determine the answers to all these other questions. So for my product that I decided to sell, and I'm not actually selling this product, and I don't even really think this is a great product, but I wanted to give you guys an example. So I was just literally typing in A, and then I think I might have typed in U or something like that, and then automotive clips was suggested as a keyword. And so I started looking at it, and we do have these two heavy hitters here with lots of reviews, but besides that, it's not too bad in the competition. And so I was like, okay, let's just pretend that I had an innovative new way to sell automotive clips. I'm going to sell these things. Let me do my analysis on this. So I am basing my example off of if you were going to sell automotive clips. Now, like I said before, don't sell automotive clips. This is just my example, but this will give you an idea as to what you could potentially do and how you crunch these numbers. So that's my product. So the second thing you need to decide is, how is your product going to be different? What are you going to do to differentiate your product? Basically, if you're selling on Amazon or online, you have to have some way to differentiate yourself. There's really 4 P's of marketing. It's product, price, place, and promotion. So are you going to differentiate on a different product? Are you going to sell your product in a different place? Instead of selling on Amazon, are you going to sell on some up and coming marketplace that nobody's selling on yet? Are you going to sell on Amazon Europe or something like that? How are you going to differentiate that way? The price, are you just going to undercut these people? They're selling for, $40, you're going to sell for $20 or whatever. What are you going to do to basically be different that way? And then promotion, do you have a new way of advertising? Are you taking advantage of some new advertising channel that nobody's using? Or do you have influencers? Or what are you going to do to basically win? So typically, for most people, I would say the 2 channels that you're going to differentiate on most, especially if you're selling on Amazon, which is what I'm going to talk about mostly in this video, is going to be your price and your product. You can basically differentiate. You can have a premium price with a premium product. You can have a value price with a more value product and figure out a way to get the product cheaper so you can undercut, things like that. In the beginning, you're probably going to need to price really competitively so that you can get the sales going. So you're going to be differentiated on price until you get those reviews. And you're going to need to have some type of differentiation on product. So once you do that, the next thing you gotta decide is, what exactly is your price going to be? We need to know your price for 2 reasons. One, we need to know how much margin we're gonna make for these later questions, but also we need to know how much you're gonna sell for, so that we can determine if Amazon is gonna be a good place, or should you do a Shopify or some other channel, okay? So typically, if you're selling a really premium, expensive product, like $300, $500, $1,000 or something like that, and here's why. Amazon is basically built to be a value marketplace, okay? It rewards the products that sell the most. The products that sell the most get more reviews, they get more traction in that way, and they also rank better and stuff like that, right? And so the low price products typically kind of rise to the top, and it's hard to set yourself apart. So whereas if you're selling on Shopify or your own funnel or something like that, your own website, it might be better to actually sell a more expensive product. And the reason why it might be better to sell a more expensive product is because if you're bidding on traffic on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, or even Google, that traffic can actually be rather expensive, and those buyers are not as likely to buy. Whereas on Amazon, somebody goes to Amazon, they type in automotive clips, they're ready to buy automotive clips. Whereas if you're just showing an ad on Facebook to somebody who's interested in automotive, they might not be ready to buy. And so it's going to cost you more sometimes to get people to buy your product if you're selling on Shopify or any of these other channels. And so because of that, you need to sell a more expensive product. Now, the cool thing is, when you send traffic to your own website, you don't have people competing with you for the same product. So it's not like there's going to be like another guy right next to you that's undercutting you on price. So you can charge a premium, and you can sell a premium product on your own website. So premium high price products are going to be better for your own website, but you're going to have to really contend with building a good website, with making a premium product, with building social proof, with getting traffic and running ads and stuff like that. Whereas on Amazon, they're gonna handle all that for you, and you're better off selling a more affordable product that's competitively priced. So I hope that makes sense. That's why we need to understand what we're gonna do. So for the rest of this guide, I'm gonna assume that you're selling a product that's priced competitively for Amazon. So the next question is, how are you going to get traffic, okay? So that's really what we just talked about. Are you going to be selling on Amazon? Are you gonna be selling on Facebook? Where is the traffic gonna come from? If it's on Amazon, we're gonna get traffic from sponsored products. We're gonna get traffic maybe from your own social media marketing, but you need to have a plan as to where the traffic is going to come from. Where are you gonna get people to buy the product? And so Amazon pretty much handles that for you because they have the ads built right in. They have a lot of organic traffic, and we have some other videos that can show you how to rank organically and stuff like that. So I'm just going to assume that we're getting traffic from Amazon using the different Amazon methods to get traffic. So the next question that you have to ask yourself is, how many units are you going to sell each month? And you can use tools like Jungle Scout. We have a tool to do sales estimation in our stuff. So whatever tool you're using, doesn't really matter, but you can go in and you can look at the competition and you can see how many units they're selling per month. So I went ahead and made this spreadsheet here, and this is for my Car Clips product, and I know that my estimated sales are 596 units per month. Now that's what my competition is selling. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to sell that much, but for the example of this video, I'm just going to say that I'm selling 596 units a month. So that's my estimated sales. Now from that, I can understand a lot of different things. I can understand how many units I need to purchase. I can understand how much money I'm gonna make. So this is very important. Once you determine the product you're gonna sell, you need to determine, and where you're gonna sell it at, you need to determine how many units you're gonna sell so you know how much to order and everything else. So the next thing you need to do is you need to figure out how much this thing's gonna cost you, not just to get manufactured in China or wherever you're gonna get it made at, but how much it's gonna cost to get it shipped over and everything else. So that's gonna be what we call your landed cost, okay? So I need to understand what my landed cost is gonna be. So for this product, I'm estimating that my landed cost for these car clips is $4.06. I got $4.06 cost, and I'm gonna sell 596 units a month is my goal. That's what I want to try to sell, 596 units. The next question that you need to ask yourself is, how much capital is it gonna take you to get started? I always say you should plan on having a 90-day supply of inventory. When you order inventory, if you're gonna sell 600 units or whatever a month, let's go ahead and get 3 months supply. So that is 1,788 units for my example right here. I need 1,788 units right now. So my cost of $4.06 times my 90-day supply, my inventory cost is going to be $7,259.28. That's how much I'm going to spend to buy this product, to get it and imported and shipped over and everything else. Now you got to have your startup costs. So your startup costs are like the other marketing things. So my rule of thumb is always double whatever your inventory cost is for your startup cost. This is in case you have to literally sell stuff for $0, give it away, whatever you have to do to get reviews, to get sales velocity, everything you're gonna do, this is what it's gonna cost to get you started. So that's a total capital requirement of $14,518.56 to basically, for me to launch this product. Now, this is assuming that I'm doing all the work myself. I'm doing the photography myself, I'm doing any videos myself, I'm doing everything. If you're going to hire experts to help you do stuff, you probably want to increase this a lot, like maybe another $7,000 or something like that. But I'm just assuming that you're gonna do the work yourself, and so that's what this is gonna cost. Okay, so now the next question we need to ask ourselves, do we have enough capital to get started basically? Like, you know, this is gonna cost you $15,000 or whatever it's gonna cost. Do you have the 15K to get started? Do you have access to a cheap, low interest rate line of credit that you can use? Do you have the cash in your bank account and savings? Can you tap some investment that you want to sell or whatever? Do you have the money to do this? If you don't have the money and you're not, it has to be money that you're willing to tie up for a while and even lose. And if you have that and you're okay with that, then you can move on to the next question. So the next question is, what is your estimated return versus the other investments that you could put this money in? So if you have $15,000, where else could you put this $15,000 and what kind of return are you gonna get? So here, we're estimating our estimated monthly profit at $2,384. And so if we multiply that by 12, that's $28,608 a month. But we gotta take out our startup cost, which is $7,000. We're not taking out the inventory cost because you're still gonna have that money in inventory. So your annual profit is 21K basically, $21,000, which is 147% ROI. So basically you're making 147% return on your investment. Now this is obviously a great return. You're not going to get this type of return in most like traditional investments, but it's much more risky, and you are doing a lot of the work yourself, right? You're putting in effort. And so this is why you get a much bigger return, because you're doing the work yourself. Now, of course, the amount of capital you put in is going to make this number grow, but I'm just giving you one example of this one product. Okay, so let's compare this to some other investments that you could make in 2023 going into a recession, and how it stacks up and whether this is a good investment for you. So the first investment that I wanted to do was the S&P 500. So the best year in 2013 for a return on the S&P 500 was 32.39%. And the average annual return over the last 20 years is 8.91%. And the worst return that we got was in 2008 at negative 37%. So if we take our $15,000 in capital and we look at how much money we could make, the best possible case that we've ever got was about 5K, a little under 5K. The average was about 1,336, and your worst case scenario is losing $5,550. So that's kind of your S&P 500 scenario, basically, if you put money in the stock market. So the best return ever was 2021, which was just 2 years ago, and that was 18.5%. And the average return rate since 2000, and this includes the recession and everything, is still 4.7%. And your worst year was 2009 with negative 11.9%. And the capital requirement, and if you put 15K in, you'd earn $2,775 for your best year, $705 for your average year, and $1,785 loss if you put money into real estate in your worst year. So now I went ahead and did another real estate category. So this is just assuming single family house without renting it, just buying and holding. This is actually what you would probably do if you bought real estate, is you would actually buy the house. So what you would probably do if you bought real estate is you would buy a house and then you would rent it out. So I'm including 6% additional return each year for actually renting the house out and making income off of the property that you're making. So at 6% extra return, that puts us at 24.5% for the best year, 10.7% for your average, and negative 5.9% for your worst year. So our $15,000 investment would yield $3,675 in our best year, $1,605 in our worst year, and we'd only lose $885 in our worst year. So our average year would be $1,605. I think real estate with income and S&P 500 is pretty close, but I think that real estate is actually a safer bet because you still own a house at the end of the day. It's a pretty like concrete thing that you actually have, whereas like when you're buying stocks, like things can go crazy. They definitely have bigger fluctuations. Now the difference is that when you own a house, you own a house. Like you have to deal with like keeping the house up, making sure that it's, you know, the taxes are paid, making sure that the bills are paid, making sure that everything's working correctly, and all that stuff. It's not as passive as just putting money in the stock market. It's kind of more like doing e-commerce business. E-commerce business also requires work. If you're using FBA, it's pretty hands-off because you can just get your product manufactured, send it straight into Amazon or a third-party warehouse. You don't really have to touch inventory that much. You can do it from wherever you are. Like right now, I'm in Thailand. So I own real estate, I own e-commerce businesses, and I think that they're both fairly passive. I would say I actually do Airbnb with my stuff, which you can make even more margin on, but it's a lot more work actually probably than my e-commerce business. Okay, so let's go into the e-commerce. So our best return rate, and this is definitely not the best, you can definitely do better than this, but just for this example, we're doing 147% return on capital. Your average annual return is, let's say, 40%. So most e-commerce businesses net like 10 to 20% when they turn their inventory, but they turn their inventory every like 3 months at least, right? So if you're buying 3 months worth of inventory, you're turning it over and you're doing that. So you're making 10%, 20% margin every 3 months. And so you're able to basically, even at 10% every 3 months, over the course of a year, that's a 40% margin. It's return on capital, right? So then for your worst annual return, I'm just doing negative 50%. It could be 100%. You could lose all your money. You could buy a product that sucks that nobody wants to buy or something like that and not sell anything. But worse, usually if you do things correctly, you can sell at break even, sell your inventory out, and you'll lose your startup capital perhaps, but it's not that bad. So let's say you spend $15,000, you end up wasting $7,000 on trying to get stuff going, and then you sell out the rest of your inventory and get your cost back. So that's why I put negative 50%. So your best year, $22,000, your average year, $6,000, and your worst year losing $7,500, losing half of your money. I think that starting an e-commerce business in 2023 can be a great idea. So let's talk about some of the pros and some of the cons, and why it's a good time and why it might be a bad time. So why it's a good time to start an e-commerce business during a recession. Number one, there's less competition. People are afraid to start businesses right now. It's easier to get started. Number two, suppliers are willing to work with you because they're not getting as many orders from some of the other people because people are scared. Number three, a lot of the other investments right now are kind of overpriced. Real estate's overpriced, stock market's overpriced. Like, it might be time to diversify into some other asset classes. Number four is you get to control your destiny. If you build up this e-commerce business, it might be a little bit of work in the beginning, but you can't get fired from your e-commerce business. So if you already have a day job and you're a little bit worried about getting laid off or something like that, well, if you start this business and you get laid off, who cares? You have a business making money, you can just put more energy and effort into that business. And so that's really a great thing. So why it might be a bad time to start a business during a recession? Well, number one, consumer spending may change. When there's a big recession, people might not want to buy the product that you source. So you need to make sure that you source products and you sell products that are going to be kind of recession proof, things that people are going to want to buy even if there is a recession. Number two is that capital could dry up. You might see harder to get financing from banks or from Amazon lending or from some of these other lenders that are willing to give you money. So you need to make sure you have your capital secured so that you can have enough money to get this business off the ground and going, whether that's from savings or from loans or whatever. And the last thing is you may need the cash for an emergency. So let's say you do lose your job and you don't have enough cash and you just put all your investment into Amazon. Well, if that's the case, this might not be a good idea. You might not want to invest all this money into your e-commerce business. So in my opinion, basically to wrap it up, if you know what product you want to sell, all the numbers make sense and everything, you have a good idea of how you're going to do it, then I think it's a great time to start an Amazon business or an e-commerce business in general if you understand the pros and cons of each thing. So that's what I would do. If you need help starting an Amazon business, I'll go ahead and have a link in the description below. We have some more resources to help you get started. And if you already have your product, we are having an Amazon Fast Track program where we'll actually guarantee you a certain amount of revenue and results for your Amazon business as long as your product meets our requirements. We'll help you launch this business and really take it to the next level. So thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.